Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now, in training footage from Anthony Joshua, it seems like he's looking for that left hook. And obviously he is in training for Kubrat Pulev. Now, what is interesting about that is when Vladimir Klitschko stopped Kubrat Pulev, Pulev's only pro loss, by the way, it was that left hook primarily that landed on Kubrat Pulev and caused the most devastating effect. So maybe in some way Anthony Joshua is trying to replicate that. Maybe he has seen some weakness in Kubrat Pulev. Now, what Kubrat Pulev does often do is come over his front foot, especially when he tries to smother and smother strongly when he gets in there with his opponent. He doesn't like to work on the inside, so he'd rather hold, but often he does surrender his balance and positioning at times when he does that. He does have good positioning and good timing because he's not necessarily a fast fighter, so he relies on those things solely in order to land his punches. So ideally what Kubrat Pulev does need to do is stay at range, at mid-range or long range. He doesn't want to get into it on the inside, so he will keep at a certain distance. He doesn't like to stay too far away from his opponent, but the thing is, when they get in close, Kubrat Pulev would rather lock up his opponent and have the ref reset them so they can go back to the center of the ring where he has space behind him, and also he can work off of that jab again, because it's a really awkward jab, pawing that bouncy kind of style. You never can anticipate what Kubrat Pulev is going to do, and that's part and parcel of his game plan, what he tries to do in there. I mean, Tyson Fury is similar in a different way. He administers a double feint, which means his opponent reacts to that, and then Tyson Fury can land his punches, because ultimately what his opponent has done has already reacted to what they believe is coming, yet nothing comes, and obviously then they surrender their positioning, and then Tyson Fury can step on it and start landing his own punches. Kubrat Pulev does something similar, not the same, but that is what that style is all about. Obviously pawing with that jab bouncy style, and you never really know what is going to be coming, what punch he is going to throw next. He does have a good jab and a good straight right hand as well, but the thing is with Kubrat Pulev is he can be considered at times one-dimensional. As I said, when he does come in and tries to hold, he does often come over his front foot, and he doesn't just come in slowly, he comes in with speed. That can be dangerous if Anthony Joshua puts him on the end of a counter shot like that left hook. The left hook that Vladimir Klitschko was landing on Kubrat Pulev, it came behind the guard, and obviously that meant Pulev did not see it coming. That's one thing Pulev does do that's not so great. He lifts his gloves up high and his elbows as well, but he doesn't really guard the sides of his head, just the front. And what that also means is he leaves his body open to an assault to the midsection, because obviously he's lifting his gloves and elbows way too high. What he would be better off doing is dipping his head down, tucking his chin to his chest, then bringing his gloves up around his head, and obviously keeping his elbows in tight to avoid those kind of body shots. The reason why he does that though is because he tries to retreat quickly. He tries to be fast, and then he can take those punches on the gloves quickly and start landing his own counters. He'd done it against Hughie Fury. Anytime Hughie Fury put him under pressure, he would catch those shots on the gloves, but then he would come around to the side and look to land his own counters. So although he's taking a defensive move, he's actually thinking offensively when he comes under fire. Now, Anthony Joshua in a different video was throwing a straight right hand, then a left hook, but he's also working on that uppercut left hook. But the interesting thing about that straight right, then a left hook, is he's leading off with that right hand. And what he is trying to do there, I believe, is work to the body, then bring in that left hook. So if you think about it, when Kubrat Pulev lifts his gloves up and his elbows too high, Anthony Joshua can land to the body. Then, as Kubrat Pulev drops his gloves, bring in the left hook. So that will cause a bigger effect, because obviously Kubrat Pulev will be sickened by the body shot. Then his gloves will come down, allowing Anthony Joshua to get that left hook off and land to the head of Kubrat Pulev. So obviously Anthony Joshua is looking at ways to break down Kubrat Pulev, which is a good choice, because you cannot just go in there with someone like Kubrat Pulev and expect to just blow them away, because that won't happen. So what AJ is planning to do is break him down round by round. But despite the fact that Anthony Joshua will be looking to break Kubrat Pulev down and probably stop him around maybe rounds 7 to 10, maybe a little bit earlier than that, but I don't believe Anthony Joshua will go in there just looking to blow away Kubrat Pulev. But also, I don't believe that he will keep Kubrat Pulev in there longer than he needs to have him in there. He will look for the stoppage against Pulev, because Anthony Joshua hasn't got a knockout victory since Alexander Povetkin in 2018. So he's going to want his knockout streak back again. And I think he will attempt to do that against Kubrat Pulev. The win is more important, of course, because if he does not win, then he cannot go on to a Tyson Fury fight or Alexander Usyk fight. So Kubrat Pulev is the most important thing at the moment for AJ, and getting the victory is key. But I believe that Anthony Joshua will want to make a statement and knock out Kubrat Pulev. But I do think that Kubrat Pulev will be a live opponent for Anthony Joshua in the early rounds. I think that Kubrat Pulev is more awkward than anything else. He's a good fighter, of course, but his awkward style is something that's going to be difficult to navigate in the early rounds. But I think what is important is breaking him down part by part, not necessarily going for swinging hooks and going for the knockout. AJ isn't going to do that anyway, because obviously he wouldn't do that at this level, not anymore. I mean, he done it against Andy Ruiz, not caring about what comes back. And I don't think he's going to do that again. So ultimately against Kubrat Pulev, he will be considering what is coming back. But the one thing Anthony Joshua will not do in there with Kubrat Pulev is overpay with respect. Obviously, it's a guy in there who's at world level, so you have to be considered about your punches and not just go wild. But there comes a time at some point where Anthony Joshua will step on the gas and he will go to a level where I don't believe that Kubrat Pulev can follow. I think that Kubrat Pulev is probably more durable, lands probably better punches, better offensive fighter than many can believe. But I still believe that Anthony Joshua can shift through the gears and go to a place where Kubrat Pulev will not be able to keep up with him. And I think that these short, powerful, fast shots that Anthony Joshua is working on will be key to Anthony Joshua getting the knockout over Kubrat Pulev, because I think that if he keeps it long, boxes at range with Kubrat Pulev, then I think Anthony Joshua can beat him that way, but I don't believe he will knock him out the same way in which he would do if he got on the inside, because Anthony Joshua is a very good inside fighter. Pulev is not. Pulev will look to hold. So if AJ can get them short shots off on the inside when Pulev is coming forwards, because as I said previously, Pulev does like to come forwards as opposed to going back. So in that sense, when Pulev does rush forwards and tries to grab hold, that is when Anthony Joshua has an opportunity to land some counter shots. And I think that in this fight, Anthony Joshua will look to stay at that mid or close range to Kubrat Pulev. He won't want to be boxing him at range, keeping him behind the jab. He will start like that, but the fight definitely won't finish like that. And this fight does look set for December 12th. Obviously, that was the date we have been hearing time and time again, but it seems like it's done. The deal has been sorted between Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum, because Eddie Hearn was talking about the fact that Tyson Fury has once again explained he would like to fight Anthony Joshua in December, just because of all of this uncertainty with the Deontay Wilder fight. But, I mean, Anthony Joshua cannot fight Tyson Fury in December because they've already sorted the Kubrat Pulev fight. And obviously Tyson Fury and Kubrat Pulev are under the same promoter. Bob Arum, Top Rank, he's the same promoter. So Tyson Fury does know that Anthony Joshua cannot fight him in December. But obviously Tyson Fury just wants to fight. That is why he keeps talking about Anthony Joshua. And, I mean, it has only just started since Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury's date, December 19th, was moved. So what Tyson Fury is doing is looking to the next big fight, because maybe the Deontay Wilder fight doesn't happen this year, but Tyson Fury still wants to fight, so who can he fight? I guess that question is better suited for Bob Arum, Frank Warren and Tyson Fury's team. Can he have an interim fight while he waits for that Deontay Wilder fight, because they want a live audience for that fight? But I mean, Anthony Joshua is fighting Kubrat Pulev behind closed doors to deal with his IBF mandatory so that he can move on. So is there not some way in which they can make sure that Tyson Fury still fights because he wants to? He wants to fight this year. He wants to deal with Deontay Wilder. So is there not some way they can allow him to fight to get beyond this trilogy with Deontay Wilder? Because it's just gone on and on and on. And it's time to close the book on that chapter. Time for Tyson Fury to move on to an undisputed fight, or a Dillian Whyte or Alexander Povetkin fight. I'd just like to see him challenge against someone different than a Deontay Wilder. But at the moment, that seems highly unlikely because he seems trapped in this Deontay Wilder trilogy, something that maybe he's going to start to get really fed up with because he does want to fight Anthony Joshua. He said it time and time again, and he even wants to fight in December. But the important thing for AJ at the moment is to work on things for Kubrat Pulev, to keep the training going and working on those things, those techniques that he is fine-tuning for this Kubrat Pulev fight on December 12th. Eddie Hearn has explained they have completed and finalised this deal between Anthony Joshua and Pulev as an IBF mandatory. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Anthony Joshua seems to be working on some combinations in preparation for Kubrat Pulev. Guys, drop your thoughts on this in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.